So this isn't the build we're playing. Last night I went on a little bit of a journey. Winternight Stories, I think, is like the next card to try to solve from Dragonstorm. I think we found the best Ugin shell. I think we've found some of the best. We found the best Narset shell. We found the best Steel Cutter shells. Was probably just prowess, although also very good at the Narset deck. Found the best Severance Priest shell, and a few other examples. But Winternight Stories is a card that has like really impressed us. It was good in Phoenix, but Phoenix wasn't that good of an archetype. It was very good in the Hollowvine deck, kind of the more traditional build. But I felt like there's just so many different ways you can play this card. Kind of simply put, a 1-mana spell that you can play from your graveyard that draws 3 and discards 2 cards or discards 1 unless you discard a creature is very good. It's good that you can cast the front half and then the back half. It's just a lot of card advantage. Just a lot of card advantage for like low casting costs a lot of the time. And so I wanted to pair it in an Asmo shell, since like discarding Oval Chase Daredevil was a pretty nice thing to do. And I'm also realizing that 3 power creatures are pretty good with Winternight Stories, where you can just cast it for 2 mana from your yards, and it doesn't have to be 1. Like the 2 mana cards are pretty good. So I was working on this build for a little while, and then I ended up wanting to try a more aggressive version of that deck. Ended up wanting to try to play no Asmo, and in this build I was thinking, maybe the cookbook stuff allows you to still play Hollow One, and like Hollow One is an artifact from Mox Opal. This is kind of cool, but then I just felt like Hollow One was pretty easy to cast even without the cookbooks. Sorry, Lucy's barking. I gotta go have a stern talk with her. She's a little suck up. So I wanted to be a little bit more aggressive. And I also really kind of wanted to play like Detectives Phoenix Overchase Daredevil as my like good creature to discard to the Winternight Stories. There's also been a chatter who's like, Spike, I got a pitch for you. Steel Cutter, Detectives Phoenix. What do you think? And I'm like, well, those are 2 good aggro cards. You have to build a deck around them. And so I guess that's kind of what we've done here. We built a deck that's playing both these cards. Kind of simply, this is a nice, powerful, non-creature spell that triggers prowess. It flies your tokens. Like, these 2 cards do play well together. But yeah, I just have felt like this package of Winternight Stories, Looting, Street Wraith, it's just enough to support Hollow One and Marauding Mako. I haven't really felt like either of these cards have needed a lot of extra help, especially because the rest of the deck is just kind of churning through your list here. So you have Bauble, you have Channeler, you have Expressive Iteration. You're just like digging through your deck really quickly. So because of that, you see your Lootings and your Wraiths, and you get to go play Winternight Stories, flashback Winternight Stories, which makes your Sharks really, really big, and then Winternight Stories plus Street Wraith enables Hollow One sometimes, and you can like surveil Winternight Stories into your graveyard with Dragon Rage's Channeler. And so playing the deck this way compared to like more normal Hollow One reduces variance because you're just not playing Burning Inquiry and Goblin Lore. I guess I should also say around this part, so I started off here, and then around this part of deck building last night, I started to really think about how when we were playing the other Hollow One list, a lot of people were like, are we playing too many spell-based looters? And I'm like, well, I just kind of always play these cards in this archetype because that's how I've always done it. But I started to really think about those comments, and I started to think, maybe we don't need to play Burning Inquiry, Goblin Lore. Maybe this is just enough enablers. And so far, it's felt like enough enablers. I think with the Bauble Scribe, we can try to keep this. Just need something to do turn 2. What about Winternight Stories and the Deep Analysis Flight Show? So I was working on that yesterday. I hope to finish building that deck. One problem I ran into was that we had like too many 3-drops. Like we were playing Winternight Stories and Flage, and like Cura was a card I still wanted because it's like it's good with Winternight Stories and it's good with it's good with Flage, it's good with Arena, but it's just more 3-drops. Like the deck was like, ooh, this is probably the oh, this is Living End? Okay, maybe I thought it was a different deck. I'm trying to remember, like, what is it called, though? The Geological Appraiser deck? All right, I'll keep the Steel Cutter, although it makes me sad that we had a Steel Cutter on top when we've used our Bauble. But this is a Living End variant, which is probably bad for me. I, don't have any graveyard hate. I do have Consigns, though. How bad would the Asmo deck be without Sagas and Opals? You're better off playing a different budget deck if those are out of your budget. They're like pretty mandatory to make those decks like competitive, and even then they're not amazing. Yeah, I was trying to do Winternight Stories, Monument to Endurance, and just kind of felt like Monument was like too many 3-drops. Maybe it's just so tough. This deck really felt like it needed Burn Inquiry. Maybe Winternight is kind of replacing Goblin Lore. Well, this is part of why we do the off-stream testing. The deck felt really good last night. I started off 3-0, 4-1 our first league, starting our second league here. Yeah, let me cook. Okay, Abrupt Decay, interesting. This was definitely a kind of a borderline hand. I tried the mono blue Dredgeless with Legend. I haven't seen that. Okay, Liliana, Overlord. This is a very weird deck. They returned no... Oh, they returned Liliana. I forgot that you can get creatures back. Or sorry, Planeswalkers. So next turn, I want to go Channeler into Winternight Stories. I think I'll just discard a Hollow One. Also makes the Living End better for me. Not that they're that likely to cast one next turn. Yeah, dumping creatures in general is going to be kind of important. Any changes you make to the Borborg Mist list yesterday aside from Karn? Well, do you think I would add Karn? I don't think I would add Karn in that build, but I want to try the Red-Green Woodlands deck again with Arbor Elf. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. Are they restore balancing? Very weird game. So to play the Hollow Ones for 0, I need to select the 2-card option here. Or I could cycle this Wraith. Sure. Although I would still have to draw a different creature I'd want to discard. So my graveyard is pretty full if they are indeed on Living End, although kind of hard to say at this point. I'm just going to bolt them and get in. Graveyard this for Living End. What is it Charm fit in the shell in lieu of Winternight? Instead of Winternight Stories? Because that's my understanding of what in lieu means. And my whole mission this week is to try to solve Winternight Stories. And so Winternight Stories is also a very, very good card and is better than Is It Charm, but maybe you mean something else besides it, Lou. Was it better to discard 2? Well, we have the looting to discard the Winternight. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so restore balance, and then they're making me sack all the lands and all the creatures. This is weird. They have to discard a card. Why are they playing? I guess they're playing Overlord to sack to beseech the mirror. I still get to keep my Steel Cutter. No, I mean instead of I'm just vibing. Of course, I'm gonna try to pet card. Yeah, I'll just that's fine, of course. But I'll just say that like, if your suggestion is ever Spike, why don't we cut the new card that you're like intentionally trying to solve? It's like it's never gonna be very helpful to suggest that, whatever that's worth. Been cooking Darcy Bauble once since MTGO. Cool. A few of y'all seem to be working on this shell. Overlord just lives to restore. Yes, true. It's kind of an interesting angle. Lou is friends for in place in the place of. Well, I mean, I know what it means, but I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a reason why someone would be like, Spike, you know this card that you keep saying you're trying to solve? Let's cut it for Is It Charm. I'm just trying to understand why someone would type that. Oh baby, that is the draw that gets us back into this. Although we have to shock. But we can afford to shock here. Oh, yeah, 6 counters on the Gargadon. Go, Steel Cutter, go. It's crazy how much better Steel Cutter is in Modern than Standard. Obviously, it's good in Standard too, but it's just so much more powerful. Okay, so this lets me go Channeler Phoenix next turn for lethal. I'd be very surprised if they can just deal a damage to me. Maybe they have a Bowmaster. I don't feel like I'd play Bowmaster in their deck. They do get to bring this back. Wait. So they sack this. Oh, they're going to restore balance again? Dang it. Nothing we can do about that. Since we won't be... There's no way we can beat this board anymore. Okay, very weird game. I'm really happy that they didn't show us any Beseech the Mirrors, because Consign doesn't beat Beseech the Mirror. But I think we're just going to bring in Consigns over Bolts and hope for the best in this very weird matchup. Overload makes a lot of sense. It lives through Restore and finds Marauder. Yeah, I think I just didn't really think so much about how it lives through Restore Balance, and Restore Balance slows the game down and just like becomes a creature and gets in there. I think that's a cool angle. I think it's a cool angle. I was forcing Ox of Agonis. I think it's Cope. Yeah, Winternight Stories really has killed Ox of Agonis for me. Bolt for reach after Restores Resolve. What card do you want to cut from this list to include Lightning Bolt? What card do you want to board out to board in the Bolt? I wonder if they like board into Living Endeavor. Probably not. Okay, bones on a mold to 6. Mold to 5. 2 Cutter, 2 Stories, 1 Iteration. Yeah, I don't think I would want to cut any of those cards for Lightning Bolt, but thank you for the feedback. Cutter specifically seems like the best card of the matchup because it doesn't die to Restore Balance. And then Winternight Stories also like being valued when the yard is nice. Yeah, we lost. Our opponent had a second Restore Balance. Well, this card seems really important to have. Despite me not having another land, I'm going to keep it. We have the Street Wraith in our draw step next turn. I suppose Frog versions are incompatible with Cutter versions. Probably. It's not impossible that you could make it work, but it's probably not something you're really incentivized to do. All right, I'm not going to need to consign anything here, so let's just surveil, see if we find Delirium. We don't find Delirium, but I think the land is good enough to keep, if just barely. I mean, Frog is a really good card that works with cheap spells. Steel Cutter is a really good card that works with cheap spells. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. What if they're playing the Halo Fairy? Maybe. FOMO is a surprising card to see. You would think this is kind of bad with Restore Balance. Yeah, we could consign the Bailmerk trigger, but I feel like you're just always wanting to save it for the Marauder Cascade instead. I guess it's 2 types for Delirium. Okay, so we can graveyard this for some value. And set up next turn, grow the Marco Sharko, all that. Oh, I guess I should have exiled the Bauble, and then maybe played the fetch land to shuffle. Although I guess I have the Channeler, so it's less likely I'll need to do that. They don't have a Gargadon suspended. I think let's just play this pretty safe and keep up the Consign against the Mold of 5. Think about Winternight in some version of the Urza Counterspell deck, but is Counterspell even good, even any good in this meta? Yeah, Counterspell is still a modern staple. I know that Counterspell stinks against the Eldrazi deck, but I there are a lot of combo decks that exist right now. Assassin's Trophy, huh? I was surprised to see that one. Yeah, maybe next turn we just go Steel Cutter, Detective's Phoenix. Although I'm pretty incentivized to play the Winternight Stories. Yeah, I think we'll go Phoenix, XL1, 2, then Winternight Stories. Jerry T was ragging a bit on Counterspell on the podcast this week. That's good. Good to know. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of Storm, and there's like a good amount of Belcher. Titan Counterspell is very good against Titan, and I don't know. It's interesting. Have I tried Whirlwind Denials, 5th copy of Consign? Yeah, sometimes. Not in this deck, obviously. Mostly worried about Counterspell against Cutter. Well, it kind of depends on what your Counterspell deck is, but like sometimes you're even playing Cutter in your Counterspell decks right now. Like it's some of the slower ones, and then some of your builds should include just iteration actually. Some of your builds should include. Hold on. Hand, bottom, exile. One thing that would be really bad is if the Assassin's Trophy, the blue source I left up here, but I think we're going to cast the Winternight. It's like Counterspell isn't great against Prowess, but I don't think just being good against Prowess is the most important thing right now. It's not important. Yeah, thankfully they didn't target my island here. They did have the second trophy though. Or my Steam Vents. It's like even in the matchups where Counterspell isn't good, it's not bad. You know what I mean? Like it's not an awful card against Prowess. It's not an awful card against Boros. It's not an awful card against Eldrazi. This is 9 after the Bauble. A bit more. A lot more. And then against decks like Belcher, and decks like Storm, decks like Titan, is just like incredibly premium. The Phoenix is funny. All right, game 3. Is it time for Snare to shine? Yeah, I think Snare is really good at the moment. I do think Snare is good at the moment. Like what's great about Snare is that it's good against it's good against the combo decks and the fair decks. Like it's good against Eldrazi, it's good against Titan. It's not amazing against Titan, but it has like enough targets there that it's not bad. It's good against both builds of Belcher. It just is relevant in every single matchup. One tension I'm seeing is we're an aggro deck and Winternight is tapping our attackers. Well, I mean, you just sequence your turns. I don't know. It's like I think you just kind of have to evaluate what's more important, attacking or Winternighting, and you get to pick a lane. Also, sometimes you get to Summoning Sick, a Hollow One or Marco Sharko, and then flashback or DRC. A small price to pay for card advantage from the graveyard. Snare Titan is only Explore and Aftermath Analysts. I've been cutting all the matchup movement correct. I like to play like one, but like it's just not a dead card game one. It has like 5 targets. Some builds play Rumble too. Like it's maybe what I should say is that it's just not dead anywhere. Counterspell is worse since the Mox Opal ban. It's always playable. It might hit a nice target, but it's tough into your opponent's fast mana or low cost like Steel Cutter. I think that this is true. I'll say this, like when a staple like Counterspell becomes less well positioned, it's really easy to like shit talk it. But Counterspell is like still like a big part of like modern being able to like not fall apart, and it's just not gonna be a bad card in your deck basically ever. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and save the second Bauble in case I draw a Steel Cutter. All right, mulligan here. Why Shock over? Oh, I guess I should have kept Canal over Shock. I was just a little bit too focused on, like, do I put back Street Wraith versus third land, and then I just picked and then moved on. Do you consider the Tormenting Voice variants of Iteration, or is card advantage crucial? I'm pretty interested in the card advantage, yeah. So they're choosing between Bowmaster and Marauder, which is kind of scary. They do choose the Marauder. Okay, let's keep that. Elk with the 2 years. Thank you. Welcome back, my friend. I'm not even should talk in counterspell. Yeah, I understand. There's just some people who were, it seems, which is okay. But it's just still a modern staple, no matter really if it's not that well positioned. And like there's just plenty of like Frog Tide as a deck kind of just doesn't get to exist without counterspell existing. They discard another Restore Balance. Yeah, Iteration just been feeling good again. Obviously, kind of peas in the pod with Steel Cutter. Bizarro at the 50 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Okay, that's a great pickup. I kind of have to discard an Iteration here so I could keep up the Consign. And Detective's Phoenix this turn seems pretty important. Bizarro at the 50, Naz with the 25. Thank y'all. I put up my attack with the FOMO so that their Restore Balance kills both of my creatures. Because like right now the Restore Balance doesn't even do very much, right? Without the Gargadon. Do I think Steel Cutter could be good in Jeskai Control? You'd have to play like kind of a different build of Jeskai Control. That's like including Mox Opal's Imri Amber package, which is kind of the direction I want to go for the like Jeskai Looting Deep Analysis deck we were playing. Because you're playing so many threes, the Moxes are kind of the only way to like make that work, I think. And so I've been kind of retooling that build as a Imri Amber Opal deck, and Steel Cutter also kind of gives you a density of artifacts that are needed. But I'm not really and like Imri milling over Flage is cool, but I'm not really sure the deck works. Gonna try figuring out some more tonight. Was working on it yesterday too. So they do suspend the Gargadon. This might be a blowout. Although I guess they can wait for the yeah, they can just wait for the Restore Balance to be on the stack. Okay, so a little hint: wait for Restore Balance to be on the stack. Not that they would be alive anyways. Yo, that text cut off in the Twitch tile is unfortunate. What text got cut off? Thoughts on Cori-Steel Basim deck? Yeah, I've been interested in playing something with like going back to the Dimir Basim shells, more so with Winternight Stories than Steel Cutter, but like there's just a lot to get to, and I do miss Basim. I think Basim Steel Cutter is kind of a nice 2 cards, and then you kind of need to play some counter magic too, and that's difficult to include with all of those pieces. Any plans to revisit Rakdos Arcanist, maybe with Steel Cutter? I don't have plans, but we'll see what happens. Zathis, we did do pretty well with that deck. That could be a good shell for it. I know one day I'll make your day, Zathis, with with an Arcanist stream. Have I looked at Sidisi, Region of the Mire for any decks? I kind of remember what that card does. I think it was one I kind of evaluated just not as being playable in Modern. We're 5-1 with this deck though. Pretty excited. I'm having fun with Modern. Yeah, I think Modern right now is better than it's been in a year. I said this earlier today. I think Modern, for the first time in about a year, is actively a good format. I think it's been about a year since I felt this way. That it's like it was bad during MH3. It was on a healing journey with the unbans, but like with the breach metagame and like some other staleness, it was just kind of okay. But I would say that Modern, for the first time in about a year, seems to be an actively a good format, in my opinion. I think I'm actually just going to bolt them here. I need a good draw next turn. I could get Delirium. Nice. Need to put the pressure on. Don't want to play too much into K return. About a good format, but energy keeping up a metagame share. I think it's okay. Like one thing is, it'll tick back down if the Eldrazi gamers stop fucking around and they just play K return again. Although I'm not in a huge rush for that to happen. But like that was a big part of what was keeping energy down. Now that dynamic is gone, there's just like a lot that's good enough against energy that I'm not that worried about it. Obviously, it's not the most fun deck ever. Is Ametine a big player? Well, the thing is, Ametine is always really restricted in how much play it sees because of how fun the deck is. Actually, got to do this, right? It's just always limited in how much play it ever sees. So I do think Ametine is the best deck still. Like Belcher's kind of popping up, and Belcher's kind of good against it, and Storm is good against it, but it's not like those matchups are so popular, so prominent. I mean, Belcher's not even, I guess, that bad, right? Because you have the Besageu's, but I tend to hear that it's like that Belcher's favored. I think it's favored overall. You have Harbingers too. Wait, they have a K command, and they're not in it. This is just a live. But I don't know. I think Titan is good against Boros. It's good against Eldrazi. It's just like, it just seems great. Okay, do I want to bolt this spawn token? Not really. Is Cutter Prowess tier 1? I think it's tier 1 at the moment, yeah. Titan has 20% win rate against Belcher according to official tournaments. That is way lower than I would have expected with all the Besageu's, but it's interesting. I do think Belcher is good against them. 20% is like 20% is not a really realistic number. Like there are very few. Okay, I guess I should have bolted. Although I may not be dead. Okay, I'm very dead. Should have bolted. I forget that the Breach deck is kind of becoming more popular. Prowess has a 33% ranks against Boros and like 75 against everything else. That sounds about right. Although, I mean, like, realistically, the matchup's probably closer to 60-40 than 33. I don't know how you make the matchup much better as Prowess. Play draw matters a lot. Which Prowess is it or Just Sky? It's a good question. I don't know which one they're talking about, but it's not too different. Like your matchup's not going to be drastically different playing either version, you know. We still haven't played like my build of Prowess, although it's not that different. I just feel like the Manamorphoses can fit in pretty well. Probably not going to spend much time playing it. Need to let Athena in. If you're spending time to Besageu Belcher, you're probably losing. Well, you Besageu the lands. You just it's 2 mana Stone Rain. Is that you have like 3 2-mana Stone Rains game 1 is what I'm talking about. You're not Besageing Belcher. Like surely that's a nice tool to have. I'm not sure you get access to my. Oh yeah, that's true. Ending does help the matchup a lot. I worded that horribly. It's okay, yeah. I would just think the presence of all like the 2-mana Stone Rains would not make the matchup an 80-20 matchup is all I was trying to say. Okay, nice that we're just kind of crushing this Chalice of the Void. Don't even care much about it. We don't have that many 1-drops in the deck, right? I guess we actually kind of do. I can cycle the shark. Steel Cutter is so good. Okay, found Lucy. Going to game 3. So these don't care about Chalice, really. These can cycle through. It's not like I really have much I could bring in to be good against Chalice, though. Might be if they have a turn 1 on the play, that might get there. Well, gonna keep this hand. I meant to say if you Besage you the lands. Honestly, though, I think the real issue is their counterspells. I agree. Yeah, but I think that attitude though of like this is very much Titan brain. If you're having to Besage you your opponent's lands to 2-mana Stone Rain them, you're probably already losing. It's like that's just like the most Titan Titan brain thing ever. Like your expectation for power level of cards is just so ridiculous. It's like a bunch of 2-mana Stone Rains game 1, you're probably already losing. Probably already losing. I do think the matchup is bad. I agree that the matchup is bad, but not because of the 2-mana Stone Rains. Yeah, bringing in the mountain from the board, post board, where hurts. But again, you have just a bunch of main deck Besages. It helps. So they keep a card on the top here. There's an Ulamog. Maybe for their Ugin's Labyrinth here. Hate drawing that many lands. 17 lands in the deck, by the way. Yeah, I wonder when Titan players will just put like a Cavern of Souls in their deck. I don't know if that'll happen anytime soon, but it would certainly help. Seems like you could find some room. Maybe they were playing one. I missed it. Let me go ahead and fire off the iteration. I don't really care about like if I hit a land not being able to play it. Athena, you literally just asked to come inside. I'm not taking you out. Sometimes 2 play every. I think you definitely should. It's like the problem is them counting other spells like Scape Shift and Pack. Yeah, of course that can happen. But just like the first copy of Counterspell between Ugin's Cave and your Expedition map off Saga, like it should improve your Counterspell matchup so much, right? That would be my expectation at least. Would you consign K-Command here? Oh yeah. Especially against the Breach version where their draws could just be clunky sometimes. Ooh, Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil, very high variance card. But just Yggdrasil against no pressure is going to probably kill me faster than I can kill them. Although they brick on their first tap, thankfully. I guess we'll start off with the looting. Okay, then I want to be able to Winternight. Oh, we're just so flooded. Only 17 lands in our deck, but this happens sometimes. So good to be able to play a hollow one. Would have been really nice to have found it earlier so I could have also flashed back the Winternight this turn. Maybe I'll get lucky and find another hollow one here. Finding another Consign can sometimes beat the Annihilator off the Yggdrasil too. I wonder if Ashiok is good versus Titan. Okay, they put the Ugin or the Ulamog into their hands, so they may have Breach. They may not have another land though. Okay, they hit a Sowing Mako spawn. Haven't seen any green mana yet, have we? Maybe we have, but I forgot. Maybe it's just big dogs more. I think about it. Yeah, probably. Sounds about right. Okay, so finding a Consign seems to be my big priority here. I could hedge a little bit. I could go Steel Cutter, Channeler, Winternight, and try to find it just off the Winternight. But I think I'm just likely enough to brick that I'm gonna just flashback the Winternight first here. And obviously that's really nice to discard. But we need to find one. Need to find one. So 4 more looks rather. Graveyard. We brick. So let's see. Okay, they didn't K command, so let's see if they have the 5th mana. Oh, there was a District Game 1? Okay, there's an Emrakul, so we need to either kill our opponent this turn, which doesn't seem too easy to do, or we need to find a Consign and leave a flying blocker back. So if I go Steel Cutter into Winternight, let's see, Steel Cutter Iteration, Phoenix. Let's say I just do that. Yeah, calm down. It's 4 from the Phoenix, and then the Steel Cutter token has 4 power, so that's 8, 9 plus 7. Not quite lethal. So it seems like I want to abandon the Steel Cutter line and find a Consign and try to have a flying blocker for the Emrakul. Let's do 2 cards here. Oh, maybe I should. I mean, probably cast into Looting though. I might get the Shark. Probably not getting the Shark big enough. Okay, discard 2 of the 3 Steel Cutters seems okay. How have I not found another Consign yet? Okay, there's a Consign. So I'm gonna go. Now there's a Consign, but I can still go Hollow One, Haste Hollow One, bestow another Phoenix, and then Looting for 2 more damage. So I can also this is, if I discard 2 here, this is the Shark is 7 power. So play the Hollow One for 0. I can bestow 2 Phoenixes to, and so this is gonna be 6, 8, 15. Yeah, I have lethal. I have lethal. I don't have lethal because I have no more fetchables. Okay, glad I did that first. So the line now becomes bestow Detective's Phoenix on Hollow One. Right, let me just make sure. It's 13 plus 3 is 16. Yeah, so let's attack them for the first time this game, leaving this back so that we can consign the Annihilator trigger and then block the Emrakul. Although I guess we're not even really dying to Emrakul anyways here. They say Sweet Brew, and I think that they think they're just going to through the Breach Ulamog here, but we can consign the Ulamog and live. They say, GG's if you have consign. I'll tell them I do. I only had to dig through like 30 cards in 2 turns to find one. We're now 6-1 with this deck. That'll keep her at bay for a few more minutes, probably. Okay, pretty flooded hand again. Let's keep, I think. I think because they're pretty likely to kill my Channeler, I'm just going to go ahead and play this one here. It might be better to keep the second Bauble, but I didn't. All right, they draw a card, I draw a card. The land does stink. If you can dig like that consistently, does it make it viable to run one-ofs that are good in this deck's worst matchups? Do you have any examples of cards like that? So like in theory, sure, but like in practice, like what cards are you talking about? What matchups are you talking about? Like one thing here too is like we're a pretty linear deck, so we want our sideboard cards to be really impactful. We want our deck to be as consistent as it can be. There's also the dynamic of this is our first or an early draft of this build, and we're 6-1, and we lost to Boros. Boros seems like maybe not a great matchup, but we don't know what the bad matchups are yet necessarily. Just theoretically, yeah, sure, theoretically. But those are the kind of things you got to be thinking about. We did beat Prowess last time, but weren't quite this flooded. Surprised to me there isn't a good green X rock deck eating the win percentage of all of these dorky red aggro decks. Maybe my analysis is wrong, but historically the case at MTG. Well, one thing is that Boros is going to be good basically against all of the green black decks. There's okay, 17 lands by the way. Let's move on. Yeah, last time I cut Channelers to dodge some Graveyard Hate and Lava Dart a little bit. I think that makes sense. But yeah, it's just like it's hard to build green black where you're very good against Boros. Like you have to be like some kind of like big culling ritual build. I think. I don't think you can really be like a normal like Goyf deck. I will say that the mono black Eldrazi deck though, the mono black Eldrazi, or where you're just kind of splashing for K command, like those builds are pretty good against Boros. They're like K command. Graveyard Trespasser, just really good tools. I'm gonna play a fetch land turn 1. I think let's save the Bauble. Kind of go back and forth a little bit, but if we draw Steel Cutter, it's so good, and I'm gonna surveil if I don't get to Heat, which digs me a little bit deeper for the Steel Cutter. Gonna keep that. Now we'll catch this in. Sure. Yeah, just weird. It is kind of weird, but Graveyard Trespasser just is like the kind of the best card in the format against Boros almost, or like not the best card. Like Wrath Disguise probably is. Yogg is 64% into Boros according to MTG deck data. I mean, I think that probably shows like how bad the data is because it's my impression that matchup's pretty bad for. Ooh, they plot the show off nice. It's my impression that matchup is just unfavorable. Period. I think I'm actually just holding up all my burn here. Any Eshki 2.0 decks in the work? Yeah, I want to do an Eshki Winternight Stories Fanatic of Ronus build. The problem is every time I build that deck, it ends up morphing into Temur Battlecrier. I don't really know what to do about that, but I'm trying for it to not do that. I guess the risk of them having double mutagenic growth is I'll just take one and then make double mutagenic growth worse here. Okay. So we lose that because of that one damage we lose, but it seems okay. Alright, I feel pretty confident that my Unholy Heat can deal with the show off. Maybe Boros just can't deal with Cauldron. I mean, you have 4 static prisons in the main. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like Guide of Souls, Ajani, Bombardments, Flage, Static Prison, Galvanic Discharge. All these cards are crazy against Yawgmoth. Kind of unfair. Their mom lets them have a Steel Cutter. It's pretty gross. The idea of Boros build is a little wrong. I think they don't have 4 prison anymore. Yeah, I guess I haven't been keeping up too much because it's pretty boring to keep. But I'm surprised that they don't play 4 prison. Prison is, I think, really good right now. There's a lot of non-land permanents. Like, it answers Steel Cutter in the main. Like, it gets Ruby, which is a problem for you. Most on 2 prison. I'm surprised it's not 4. Why is no Elemental Blast so bad? It was kind of okay in the Nadu metagame. They're really bad in the mirror. I mean, they're not really bad. I just can never beat 2 Steel Cutters here. We'll play it out. It's awful post-board versus Rathus guys. Well, I mean, can you just play the main and then board them out? Like, I think it's fine game 1, right? All right, with the Lava Dart too, let's move on. What are your thoughts on the $100 raise foil secret layer? I have no idea what you're talking about, and I would like to keep it that way. I don't really care about this kind of stuff, you know. I just want to build decks and share my ideas, and I hope I never have to be like, I don't know. It's just not the kind of content I like. It's not for me. I want to continue to have no idea what you're talking about. Opponents on the mold to 5. I think the way sideboards are currently being built, it would be hard to board out 4 static prisons because you don't have a ton of great stuff to bring in. You could map it out, but I think static prison, like Steel Cutter, is so popular. It's like it's not bad game 1. I don't know. I just feel like I would be trying really hard to play 4 copies of prison in the main. Wow, kind of normal Tron. I'm gonna upkeep Bolt here so I can get Delirium and try to surveil into another land. That worked out. Thanks, Darth. I don't remember which match you're talking about. But glad it was fun. Okay, I can't get the looting here. Just kind of trying to fill up the yard enough so I could Phoenix, maybe? Okay, so I Phoenix from the yard, and I exile Hollow One, Phoenix, Bolt. Yeah, we're doing pretty good still. Thoughts on using Undakai? I don't know how to say that one, but I know what card you're talking about to cast Ugin, or is that card too bad? I don't really know how you cast it with it, necessarily. Oh, with Dredger's Insight, that's a good insight. That's ironically, I don't know, coincidentally, a good insight on why that matchup maybe is different now. Yeah, you're right. They can Infinite Life combo way better. Although I'll say, like, I don't know how much that affects Magic Online. All right, another in 4, out 4. Surprised there hasn't been an Onslaught Pride Steel Cutter deck with Pride Copy of the Monks. You haven't been watching this stream. That was the first Steel Cutter deck we made. I want to update it too. I thought the Boros Steel Cutter build was pretty promising. I thought it was pretty promising. I want to play more artifacts, so I was thinking Esper Sentinel might be necessary. But yeah, I want to play some more cheap artifacts because it feels like we're a little light on stuff for Opal, but it's kind of okay to be light on Opal because it's just like another 0 mana spell for Steel Cutter. But yeah, I just wanted to be a little bit heavier on artifacts next time we played this build. We previously had Stoneforge Mystic, and then we had Steel Shaper's Gift, which were kind of like artifacts too. Yeah, you could play Portable Holes are good too. So like it's possible you could maybe play Esper Sentinel over Ragavan and Portable Hole over the Galvanic Blaster Discharges, which could be good. I do think Portable Hole is good at the moment. This is an interesting start. Gab, thanks for the raid. I was watching your stream earlier today. The Is It Artifact deck looks pretty sick. There's a version in the league dumps that was looking kind of nice too. You might be able to do Mamber between Ragavan and Johnny. It's a little light. It's a little light, especially if you want to move away from the Ragavans, but it's possible. 2-2 prelim 5 league, nice. Yeah, I want to mess around with that shell some. There's just so much to do. Modern is so fun at the moment. Spike, do you think some people have a habit of sideboarding to the point it dilutes their deck? Some people do. Okay, they reveal Urza's power plant. What you got? Ugin, maybe? Karn. Karn Bridge? Can't really beat a bridge. Okay, can't really beat a bridge. Let's keep the show on the road. Haven't seen that that border. A question about Steel Cutter, but in Timeless, since we have access to Chromox, would it be worth using as a double spell enabler for Steel Cutter? You probably could. I don't know what card advantage options you have access to, but that would be a pretty key piece of the pie, I think. Okay, I want to keep this. I don't know how I'm sequencing because of the stupid Thundering Falls. I think what we should do is we should go Thundering Falls into Steel Cutter, into Shark Looting, try to hold up Consign on turn 3. So I do need a land to do that. So I guess I'll keep that. Be kind of sad if the card underneath it is Bauble. Okay, I thought this was going to be a Trinisphere. Glad to be wrong. I wish Timeless just like had a better tournament scene. It's just such a cool format. The K command? Okay, so I think I'm going to go Replicate Consign. End of turn to get the Fleshraker trigger too. And then that'll be my second spell for the Steel Cutter. Did I play in the 1K Timeless tournament? I mean, I haven't played a Timeless tournament in years at this point. It was like pre-MH3. Like basically when Timeless first came out, I was playing some of it, and I liked it a lot. But it was also expensive to keep up with, and it wasn't as popular as some of the other stuff I was doing. Wait, why won't it let me target this? Weird. But it's down to 11. So they Karn with 2 mana available. They get Engineered Explosives on 0. It's pretty good. I also can't equip my Steel Cutter. Looking for a Detective's Phoenix to kill the Karn, otherwise they're going to be kind of cooked against the bridge. Yeah, kind of just lose. Yeah, probably a little too cold to Ensnaring Bridge. Ryan with the 44, thank you, welcome back. Appreciate Jim. I played a little bit of the show and tell era. It's around when I stopped playing. I think Trampling the Mako was not there. Well, I said this, but we could not equip the Steel Cutter because Karn was in play. Easy thing to miss, though. These opening hand surveillance not wicked. Yeah, I agree. We just have too many graveyard synergies to not play any. Okay, Ragavan. Gets you on the play against Boros with not a mulligan to 5 this time, so definitely interested to test this matchup again. Okay, I do really want an untapped land, so we might as well Bauble first, looking for that we can Street Wraith into. We do find one. So let's Street Wraith into this. Then we can go Channeler Looting. We get 4 looks at a hollow one that we could play for 0. We also have this Winternight Stories that we could discard for value here. Okay, so there's a hollow one. I'm gonna do a little trick here. They might block. And then I crack the Bauble, get Delirium. Little trick. Give your opponent the opportunity to make a mistake. Nice. Been playing Urza Saga in the Boros Steel Cutter deck? No, our land count's already really low. I don't exactly know how that would work, but it could work. So discard creature card in Detective's Phoenix. I guess we just go 1 mana hollow one. Oh no, I only discarded 1. Dang it. That's okay. Don't need the Steel Cutter here, I guess. Winternight Stories is a really powerful card. Obviously, I messed up. I should have discarded 2 instead of just 1, which is funny. That's just an upside here. Okay, so up a game this time. Again, I think you want to move away from Channelers to dodge some of the graveyard hate post board. I do think the Phoenixes are just too good against them to cut, even though you maybe want to put like 2 Channeler, 3 Phoenix. We see Phoenix really often. I think it's okay to do. I'm definitely going to click the keep button. I really just want to draw a land immediately, though, so I don't feel like I need to use the Bauble turn 1. Does feel like we need to use the Bauble. Punished. Seeing a lot of these cutter decks, the one I'm having trouble with is the Jeskai version with Flage and Prismatic Ending. Do I have any thoughts on which version is better? That version is unequivocally better against Boros than the Izzet build is. I think both Flage and Prismatic Ending go a long way in that matchup, it seems. And Boros seems to be the most popular deck in the format, so probably hard to feel like you're going very wrong building the deck in that way. Very weird turn with the Ghost Vacuum sucking up the Winternight Stories. I think that's just going to have to be okay. Yeah, I was kind of hoping that they would do this, so now I can do this. I guess I should have responded to the activation, though, because if they had Galvanic Discharge, then they get 2 extra energy this way. Dang it. Not the end of the world, of course. One card in their hand here. I think I'm not going to attack. It's kind of close. Oh, they still leave the Winternight Stories in the yard. It's good. Very rarely, they might kill my Monk token and then attack with both, and I can block and cycle the Wraith. Seems like we might be living in this rare situation. No, they target the Shark. Okay, I guess we might as well see if the other 2 Street Wraiths are on top, right? That'll happen like 0.001% of the time, but could be now. Unlucky. Okay, they vacuum up the looting. Still no respect for the Winternight Stories, it seems. We'll see what we draw. I'm not really sure how I'm sequencing this. I think we start off with Iteration. Okay, let's keep the Shark, bottom, exile, heat the Ajani. Since when did Voice of Victory come to stock in Boros? It's basically since the card came out, I guess, would be the answer. It might be better to kill the cat, but I think this is just a lot less risky. How unlikely was it that's with how unlikely was it better to save it in case you drew the Mako? Yeah, maybe. I could see that being a good argument. They said not to trade a cat for a token. They have a Guide of Souls. 1 card in their hand. Not too many that they could play. Maybe Bombardment? Where? Okay. That stinks, but of course this is why Steel Cutter's so nuts. We just still have 2 Prowess tokens. I believe you can only tap 1 creature to harmonize. Yeah, just 1. Does stinks to miss out on the damage. We might be getting Arena of Glory flaged also next turn. They have to draw an untapped white source. Okay, I think I'm just discarding Hollow One. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna just play the Shark here too. I'm just trying to fade the that draw step too. I'm not really trying to play around the untapped land being drawn. Not this turn, at least. Are there any playable Glimpse of Tomorrow decks? I think like Glimpse is an underplayed archetype in general. It might be the best Cascade deck, but no one plays it. I guess because I'm kind of settled on this brew being bad. I was trying for a little while to play Breaching Dragonstorm plus Estrid's Invocation. Dang it, they have it. Breaching Dragonstorm plus Estrid's Invocation in Glimpse combo, and there was definitely a lot I liked about that shell. Estrid's Invocation copying Dragonstorm was cool. I tried a couple different ideas for that, and then also Breaching Dragonstorm could hit Behold the Multiverse or One with the Multiverse or whatever. But I don't know. It didn't seem like it really made a lot of sense, or like I don't know. It was pretty clunky. As much as I don't love that word. Am I sure Restore Balance Cascade isn't the best? I'm pretty sure. I think Restore Balance Cascade is worse than like the Lantern Restore Balance deck we play, but that deck's also not great. If I tried it with Dragonback Assault, I don't know what that card is. Maybe I'll figure out the Glimpse Breaching Dragonstorm build, or if it like it's probably gonna still be pretty slot machiney. It's interesting. Okay, so I only have one Unholy Heat left in the deck. Seems like, you know, we've lost to the Arena Flage. Yeah, I've seen the Belcher Dragonstorm deck. That deck is pretty good, I think. I played against it a lot last night. Like 4 times last night. I guess we do still have that one Unholy Heat. Oh, sorry, I meant to play this Arid Mesa. Not that it's gonna likely matter. Oh, I didn't even see the Unholy Heat in there. Maybe I don't have it. Well, going to game 3. Dragonstorm is better with copy shapeshift creatures. No. Copy? I think that the plan of being like a Velomachus deck, if that's what you're saying, and like your plan is on turn 5, I'm gonna cast Breaching Dragonstorm, and then I'm gonna play things like copy Breaching Dragonstorm when they enter, and I don't know what the win condition is. Like, that doesn't sound like a very good deck to me. Is there a chance Bloodbraid Marauder is good with Steel Cutter? Well, Steel Cutter is kind of good with everything. I don't think Marauder's like 2 mana cast a Bauble or a 1-drop. I've never really liked that so much, but it is kind of interesting because it casts 2 spells off of 1 card. All right, game 3 against Boros. I'm gonna lead on the Canal, so it's a little less obvious I have a removal spell. Sounds great though. I did an Asmo build of this deck last night, but I ended up finding this build to be better. Not sure how good Thraben Charm is against us. Probably not bad. I wonder what Modern would have been like if they did end up banning Bauble over Lurrus all those years ago. Lurrus would have still been good, I think. Well, much less good. I think they have a discharge. Unbanned Skull Clamp? The Unbanned Skull Clamp discourse, it's a little unhinged. I know because I've dabbled in it before myself, but yeah, I don't think it really makes any sense. And it's like, you know, Urza Saga's in this format. It's like, it's pretty unhinged, I think. One of the more silly things that people regularly suggest. All right, I think the way that they're playing, there's definitely a discharge on top. I think I'm just okay to make them go discharge into turn, discharge on their turn. Just leave both these back. So I believe you said for the longest time the Skull Clamp wouldn't be that good. Well, one thing I like to encourage on this channel is changing your mind and growing and evolving. Also, I almost certainly said that before Johnny and Ocelot Pride were printed. almost certainly I said that before that. Maybe before Bowmaster was printed, or maybe not. Maybe Bowmaster's better against Skull Clamp than good with Skull Clamp. Although you would kind of devolve into some mirrors, but I just disagree now. I think Skull Clamp in your Urza Saga metagame is just, it's not adding anything good to this format. Also, Opal is unbanned now. It's just a pretty unhinged. Oh wait, sorry. For some reason I thought that this would still be able to block. Oops. Like also like one thing is, back when I was talking about Skull Clamp, I was always like, I've only ever played with Skull Clamp in Cube. I don't really know how good it is. Maybe it wouldn't be that good. I've never really played with it, but I do agree I dabbled in some of the unhinged Skull Clamp discourse, and I'm here to condemn that behavior. I'm going to go for... my hand is so good, I don't really want to loot anything away. But I also don't want to waste any of my iterations. Not a bad problem to have. It's a pretty high pick in Cube even. For me, like, it wasn't a card I liked in Cube for a long time, but I do think it has gotten better. Or it seems like it's gotten better. Okay, so I know my opponent has a Galvanic Discharge. Maybe I just ignore the cats, though. The cats are pretty annoying. Cori-Steel Cutter is another reason not to unban Skull Clamp. Isn't Skull Clamp barely even played in Vintage? This is not a good argument for unbanning a card in Modern at all. This is a silly argument. if this argument's being made seriously, of course, this is, doesn't shouldn't be a point in any direction. But like it's just one of the most like asking for trouble unbans you could possibly imagine. You have a Guide of Souls? I guess this still isn't quite enough energy. I'm not making the argument have a Skull Clamp unbanned. Yeah, it just kind of sounded like that, but yeah. Yeah, Johnny, Ocelot Pride, Steel Cutter, Mox Opal, Midnight builds. It's just pretty nuts. So they kill my token. It's interesting. Just the main face kill. Have people play with Skull Clamp? That was always kind of my point back in the day. Or like when we've entertained this unhinged line of thought that I now condemn. But my thought was like I've never really played with Skull Clamp. That was always like my thing, is that I don't really know how good it is. Because I've never really played with it. Like, and I was, always wondering like how good is it? Yeah, but now it seems like it would be nauseatingly overpowered. Okay, I'm gonna consciously not play around Arena of Glory, I guess. And then I suppose, like, I can flashback the Winternight Stories, but I just have enough juice in the tank. I'm just gonna cast this, get 2 more points of damage in, maybe 4 if I hit a Bauble. And try to put a good card in my hand for next turn. Not a bad card. Did do Arena of Glory, doing pretty good against most other things here. I believe if you had E-Eyed into Bauble, you had lethal before bolting the cat. That is... Yeah, initially I was thinking that I was going to go flashback Winternight Stories here to set up for next turn, but it just seemed better to attack in this spot because I have too much gas in the tank. So unless they're typing out a message about how much they love the stream, they probably don't have Arena of Glory. Okay. Sacred Foundry tapped. Feeling pretty good about our spot. I'd be interested in Spike doing some Commander content, competitively or casual. I would not care. Oh, I think I'm worried that I would make too much money and it would corrupt me. I don't really see how that could go any other way. All right, so 4-1 the first league, 3-2 the second, 1-1 against Boros Energy. Feeling pretty good. This, like, I'm liking Winternight Stories a lot. This shell, like, feels like it needs some more work too. And a nice lightning bolt to finish. Oh, no, never mind. Okay, so 4-1 into 3-2. I think I'm gonna pivot over to our backup deck, which is also another Winternight deck. I'm gonna be Winternight is gonna be the focus for like today and tomorrow.